The rain fell like shattered glass that night, slicing through the darkness as if the sky itself was breaking apart. On the outskirts of a forgotten town, a single motorcycle roared down the empty highway, its headlights cutting a fragile path through the storm. The rider, a worn leather-clad Hell's Angels outcast named Riker Hale, carried on his shoulders the weight of years filled with regret, loneliness, and the kind of silence that follows a life lived on the edge. He had lost too much. Brothers to bullets, a woman he loved to time and distance, and the version of himself he once believed he could be. He rode now because it was the only thing left that still felt alive. And yet, beneath that hardened exterior, fate was preparing to collide with his life in a way he never saw coming. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected connections, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It truly motivates us to bring more moving stories like this. Riker didn't believe in miracles. He didn't believe in much of anything anymore. But when the storm forced him to pull into an abandoned underpass for shelter, he heard something. Soft, trembling, and painfully human. 3 small silhouettes were huddled together under a torn blanket, their thin bodies shaking from cold and fear. At first, Riker thought they might be strays, the kind of street kids who slip into the cracks of society unnoticed. But as he approached, he felt an unfamiliar tug in his chest, something protective and raw. They looked up at him like he was both a threat and their only hope. He saw hunger in their eyes and exhaustion carved deep into their faces. The oldest, maybe 12, shielded the younger 2 with a fierce instinct that reminded Riker of a world he once lived in. Something inside him cracked open, and it wasn't the kind of pain that came from an old wound. It was something new, fragile, and terrifying. He gave them his jacket, then food from his saddlebag, and by morning, without fully understanding why, he told them to come with him. They agreed, not because he seemed safe, but because he was the first person who didn't look away. Riker took them to his rundown cabin near the mountains, a place as lonely as he was. Life there was simple, chopping wood, fixing old bikes, learning how to survive away from the noise of the city. At first, the kids barely spoke, their trauma hanging around them like invisible chains. But slowly, they warmed up. They began to laugh again, small, hesitant sounds that seemed to echo through the walls of Riker's life, until even the coldest corners began to melt. He taught them how to cook, how to fish, how to stand their ground, and in return, they taught him how to feel again. Nights that once stretched endlessly now felt short, filled with stories, warmth, and a kind of family Riker never imagined could exist for him. But the world has a way of revealing truths when you least expect them. The day everything changed, Riker took the kids into town to buy winter coats. A missing persons poster on a grocery store window caught his attention. Not because he recognized the faces, but because the children standing beside him suddenly froze. Their breath hitched, their eyes filled with fear. And the oldest whispered, barely audible, that those were their photographs, cleaner, happier versions taken long before life stole their innocence. Riker realized then that they weren't just runaways. They were missing heirs to a massive estate, children of a wealthy family that had been searching for them nonstop since the day their parents died in a mysterious accident. The truth hit him like a blow. Someone had taken these kids, hidden them, and abandoned them when things got complicated. They had escaped, surviving on scraps, until Riker stumbled into their path like some unlikely guardian angel dressed in leather and scars. He understood now why they never spoke about their past. Trauma had become their language. Fear was their memory. At first, Riker considered keeping everything quiet. He had grown attached more than he wanted to admit. These kids filled a hole inside him he didn't think could ever be filled again. But he knew keeping them hidden would only trap them in the same darkness they had fought so hard to escape. So with a heavy heart, he made the hardest decision of his life. He contacted the authorities. Within hours, the world came crashing into their quiet mountain life. Police, social workers, lawyers, all confirming the same truth: the children were heirs to nearly 6 million left behind by their late parents. But what stunned Riker most was the way the kids clung to him, refusing to let go, begging him with their eyes not to disappear from their new world. Even when officials tried pulling them away gently, their small hands gripped his like their lives depended on it. And maybe, in some way, they did. Days later, when the dust settled and the kids were placed in temporary custody with their families appointed guardians, a black car pulled up to Riker's cabin. The oldest child stepped out, holding an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter stating that the children wanted Riker, this solitary broken biker, to remain in their lives, not as a guardian forced by the system, but as family chosen by the heart. The guardians agreed, thanking Riker for saving them, for giving them what money never could, safety, love, and the chance to be children again. Riker felt something unfamiliar burn in his chest. Not pain, not regret, but gratitude. For the first time in years, he realized he wasn't alone. The world had given him a second chance in the form of 3 fragile souls who needed him as much as he needed them. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring powerful, emotional stories to life. Before the ending, here's a special request. Comment below what part of the story moved you the most. In the months that followed, Riker remained a constant figure in the children's lives, attending school events, teaching them to ride dirt bikes and visiting them every weekend. His cabin was no longer quiet. It echoed with life, laughter, and the kind of joy he once believed he didn't deserve. And though the world still saw him as a hardened Hell's Angels rider carved from stone and storms, 3 children saw something different. They saw the man who saved them, the man who chose them, the man who became the father they never had. And in that unexpected bond forged on a stormy night under an abandoned bridge, they all found something priceless, something no inheritance could ever match. They found family,